If you want to take part in our Google Plus Hangouts, please go to the Honey Badger Google Plus page and add it to your circles. That is plus.google.com/plus symbol Honey Badger Radio. Our website is at honeybadgerbrigade.com. Once again, that's honeybadgerbrigade.com. Hello and welcome to Honey Badger Hangout. Today we're going to be talking about the recent Saturday Night Live skit that lampooned men's rights activists. But first, let's watch it. Okay. So, shall we take a moment to recover?
That was actually my first time watching that. I figured I didn't want to watch it twice, and now I kind of am glad that I decided to yeah.
Yeah, it's sort of a train wreck. Um, First of all, it's really blatant. Like this hot supermodel chick is willing to overlook all of his other deficiencies until she finds out he's a men's rights activist.
It's because she's foreign. It's the whole get a foreign bride thing.
Oh yeah, so that's why
Remember,
she
he
had
he
broken
brought he
English.
brought her to the U.S.
Ah, so and that explains why she has stereotypically broken English and appears to be a racist stereotype. Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, it's news to me that as a rights activist, I've campaigned to shut down Planned Parenthood and also to have it so that men earn more. That was news.
Yeah. You know what?
It's news to find out that a man too.
Yeah.
I mean, they're basically portraying men's rights activists as men.
Yeah, I'm kind of. This is the first I've heard that I'm a virgin as well. You know, so.
I don't think SNL asked my consent to give me a sex change. I don't want.
Well, what I sort of found interesting was the subtle.
Subtle? Was anything about that subtle?
Hold on, no. There's another side to this. It's the subtle vapidness that they put on the other side of the equation. It's there. It's there if you look at it.
I don't know.
What are you left with? You're left with a woman who glommed onto this guy to come into the U.S. You're left with a whole bunch of women sitting around basically saying we're going to go get some hunky guys.
Yeah.
So, I mean, really.
I think what
the reason they all got together, it was a jewelry party. They get together to hang out and be together. They have to buy something.
Oh, it has to be, you know, it's
women.
And I'm absolutely sure the Twitter hashtag solidarity is for white women is probably going to end up blowing up after that skit.
Well, what you mean? Non-white women might be a little offended that of white women's burden to ensure that they pre-approve the men that they want, you know, that they're allowed to have.
Right, absolutely.
That particular skit portrayed them as idiots.
Oh, not to mention considering the way they talk about privilege and everything else, I'm sure they'll find the idea of a bunch of middle-class white women sitting around having a jewelry party. Yeah.
Well, I still can't get over the whole we shut down 2 Planned Parenthoods. Like, what MRA is going to campaign against access to birth control? I mean, they give away free condoms there too, don't they?
Yeah,
right.
Well, considering that that's actually birth control in and of itself is a men's rights issue, and with lack of access.
Well, not just that. It's like I'm sure every guy would like to shut down every Planned Parenthood so that he can actually, every time he has sex, risk another $100,000 baby mortgage. Like,
yeah,
you know, that he has to pay a woman who won't let him see his kid.
Well,
like,
that's just it. Men depend on women's birth control because men do not have the number of options that women have. And there are condoms, but they're not foolproof.
Heck,
and that is an actual men's rights issue.
Yeah, we wouldn't find all these MRAs screaming about Vassal gel otherwise.
Yeah.
I mean, ridiculous to say that they wanted to shut down Planned Parenthood.
And what's hilarious about that is feminists have actually shut down men's reproductive birth control in South America. I believe they actually shut it down. that they actually prevented an
Well,
additional method of men's birth control from coming out.
they weren't actually the ones, they weren't the reason why that did not get pursued. The reason why I forget what it was called, but Dr. Coutinho's discovery with the sesame cakes, I think it was, or cottonseed cakes,
I think it was cottonseed.
was that it caused permanent side effects, right? Permanent infertility. So that got shut down because of that. However, that does not take away from the fact that feminists protested against it, right? They weren't the reason it got the research on that stopped, but it would have stopped if they'd had their way, right?
Mm.
So,
Yeah, it would have.
I mean, like, I think
they've gone out of their way to. There's articles online with feminists writing as though male access to birth control prevents female access to birth control. Where would you trust a man to take the pill, as if a woman would have to just stop using birth control because boyfriend or husband or partner is using birth control. And it treats the situation like it's one or the other for the purpose of shutting down birth control.
They're almost projecting their own attitudes of trying to shut down men's reproductive options onto men. But it's a lot of projection, because I remember that scene where she's like, oh yeah, I'm all for women making all the money and making all the choices. And it's like, oh, so in other words, she's a female supremacist in a relationship with what they're portraying men are raised to be, which is male supremacists. And so which side are we, like, that's where it sort of breaks down for me. Like, is female supremacy now the new acceptable attitude? Like,
well, they accuse us all the time of playing a zero, or saying it's a zero-sum game, or acting like it's a zero-sum game, but it seems like when push comes to shove, they're the ones treating it that way. You know, if men have birth control, if men have the pill, then that means women somehow lose out, or women suddenly won't be able to, you know, feel safe when they have sex, right? And you even found this with condoms in the, I think it was the late 1800s, early 1900s, when they actually had finally developed a way to mass-produce condoms. Feminists protested against making those available to men. They wanted birth control to be solidly in the hands of women.
Honestly, I think they're trying to conflate men's activists with other groups in doing that, in order to demonize rights activists. Because
they're calling us all.
There are groups that are trying to shut down Planned Parenthood. Anti-abortion advocates do want to shut down Planned Parenthood, but those are not men's rights activists. Those are anti-abortion advocates, and it's a different group. There is overlap between that group and a lot of other groups.
The actual men's rights issues are really lack of access to services in domestic violence and rape for male victims of domestic violence and rape, treating false accusations as a legitimate problem, removing the bias in family courts against fathers, addressing the education cap, and dealing with men's health issues like suicide. These are men's rights issues, not shutting down Planned Parenthood and whatever, and paying men more for the same job. These are purely legitimate, very modest equal rights issues. And yeah, that's what they're doing. They are demonizing the men's rights movement by associating with male superiority. At the same time as they just uncritically present this woman as a female supremacist. Can he say to her, you know what, I never realized you were a female supremacist, and despite the fact that you're smoking hot, I am not going to be in a relationship with a female supremacist. Goodbye, fuck you. You can pay for your own taxi home. You know.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out what the deal is with him going, you can have the car.
Yeah. They're used to feminist men. That's what a feminist man would do. After being dominated by a room full of women, he would slink out and tell her she'd have the car and you know, walk out like a whipped puppy.
Yeah.
Whereas your average MRA would have simply taken his damn car and told her to find her own
And
way.
gone home. Yeah.
That was just the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. Like, I was just like, I thought I would be like really offended or, you know, really annoyed by it, but I can't even bring myself to feel anything like that. It's just, what? Like, just that's my reaction is what?
Yeah.
All I could do was cringe the whole time I was watching. I was just going,
I was pretty
Really?
disgusted.
Yeah.
Disgust
Okay.
would probably be the best description.
Okay, so
Not even.
essentially my husband is whispering to me and saying that he was being a white knight by giving her his car, because in the beginning of the sketch it was stated that he brought her in his car. So he essentially,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, so it's like, that doesn't, so what is it they're trying, you know what, this is just,
It doesn't make any sense.
it doesn't make any sense. The entire, it's really a testament to how much, okay, the Americans are probably going to kill me for this, but Saturday Night Live couldn't find a punchline if they were punched by it.
Now, Saturday Night Live has fallen far from what it started out as. There used to be great comedians come out of that show. I mean, John Belushi came out of that show.
Yeah.
Bill Murray.
Bill Murray came out of that show. Chevy Chase. You know, with that Gilda Radner. This was not...
Will Ferrell.
This was like
Will
watching...
Ferrell.
It was like watching
Will Ferrell.
Saturday Night Live develop Alzheimer's disease.
Yeah. I mean, how do you reconcile a show that would put that skit on, that had created a comedian that, or you know, brought to maturity a comedian who could do the Dear Woman spoof?
Well, what I find what I find interesting about this is the fact that when you look at the online reviews, okay, everyone's going crazy over Lena. They're saying, oh, she did such a great job here and here and here and here with all these skits, but when it comes to actually rating the skits, you consistently find the men's rights skit at the bottom of the barrel. And while some of the critics are going, well, yeah, this is men's rights activism, but it was still a horrible skit. And some of the critics are going, we have no idea what the hell that was.
So, so who wrote
So
this
even
skit?
the ones that are predisposed liking it.
Yeah, so even the ones who are predisposed to liking it, who actually have a stake in making some objective criticisms of the SNL skits, put it at the bottom of the barrel.
So who was it that wrote it again?
Nobody knows.
We don't know yet.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to make two comments from the gallery. One is that that SNL's audience is young men, so it's pretty obvious that they're trying to. This is a propaganda piece to try to turn them off the men's rights activists by using the very thing that feminists say is bad, reducing women down to their sexual power and sex appeal, and saying, "Hey guys, you embrace this thing. You don't get poontang. You know, even if you are the most biggest loser in the world, as long as you're not a men's rights activist, you can get a beauty queen." And what's that? That's their audience, is young men, and that's what they're telling them. It's the most base form of manipulation. And the other thing is something that Nick just texted in the chat. It's not the MRAs, the men's rights activists, who want to change the topic out of uncomfortableness. It's our opponents who have to stop talking about this because it makes them so angry. And he's right. Men's rights activists do not shy away from the topic of men's rights. It's the feminists who shy away from the topic of men's rights.
Feminists and other political correct advocates have bitched and moaned about what I would refer to as aesthetics shaming under various names. Probably the most well-known would be the anti-fat shaming movement. But the idea that you shame people over their appearance, this farms statement, everything. And they've come out and talked about this as having damaging effects to women and damaging effects to anyone else that they want to say is marginalized for years. And there's been a decades-long effort to make it taboo in our city to criticize other people's appearance, particularly things about their appearance that are natural. And here they're using that as a silencing tool. And then at the same time, they've protested behavior shaming, whether it's legitimate behavior shaming or not. It's the same way. And again, the most famous one would be the anti-slut shaming efforts. But any criticism of any behavior in women is criticized by feminism. If women are violent and you criticize that, they get upset. They spend a lot of energy discussing those specific two types of shaming, the aesthetic shaming and behavior shaming. And here they shoved both of those types of shaming right down the general public's throat. And they can't very well claim to be ignorant of what they did there. That's not an accident. They know this stuff because they've been discussing it and pushing it and analyzing it and coming up with ways to make points about it for decades. So when they do this, they are fully aware that they're leveling an attack that uses exactly the behavior they say is so harmful to women. They cannot possibly be doing it for any reason other than to cause harm, to silence.
Well, and, look too at
this is something that is. This is particularly shameful. Going on to use the word shame, this is particularly shameful as an act.
Well, you look at characterizing somebody's appearance like that. I mean, where have we seen that? And then some, in order to when you're trying to vilify them, you ridicule their physical appearance. Where have we seen that before? We've seen that with white depictions of blacks about 100 years ago.
Racism.
With I don't know, German depictions of Jews with the
depictions of Jews.
With U.S. depictions of the Japanese during World War II.
Yep.
There you go. So I mean, you have this sort of they take the archetype and they extremify all of the features that they assign to that archetype that they're trying to vilify in order to make them look ridiculous or make them look dangerous or make them look inept or make them look whatever they want you to see, right? And this is something that I think that they're doing. So.
In this case, they couldn't even make up their minds as to exactly what they wanted to portray MRAs as, because on the one hand, they're portraying this MRA as entirely socially inept, and on the other hand, they're portraying this MRA as dangerous in the fact that his group was capable of shutting down to Planned Parenthoods. So, which one is it?
And then his car.
It's almost like a panic blast thrown together. Oh my God, we have to shut these people up kind of sketch, And they're doing it. They're not doing it just out of blind hatred. They're doing it because they can't counter the movement.
He's a scary man.
It doesn't make sense.
He's part of a movement who could shut down 2 Planned Parenthoods, right? And yet he's a total nerd who was a virgin before he brought in his foreign bride, right? And then at the same time, and he wants to take us back to the 50s, right? But and then as he leaves without complaint, right? Without any aggression or fighting, right? Then he's like, you can take the car.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even understand.
But this is all they have.
Who is this guy? He's just like a He's like an amalgam of different insults that they throw at us. We're troglodytes. We're trying to turn the clock back. We're a bunch of conservatives. We're a bunch of guys who hate women. We're bitter because some woman broke our heart when we were 18. We're a bunch of assholes who can't get laid. Nerds who live in their mother's basements. But we're dangerous at the same time. We can't get laid, but we're dangerous. And we're all.
But despite all this,
we'll walk home and let her have the car after she shames us in front of everybody. Like, I don't even know what that person who wrote that was thinking.
But despite all this, we are powerful enough at this point in the social consciousness to have been featured on SNL. So the very fact that we were put on that venue,
something like that.
the very fact we were put on that venue speaks volumes for where we are going and just how much we've accomplished. This is not an insult to us so much as it is paying homage to the fact that we are starting to change the social discourse. We are doing it in a big way. We are doing it in a way that forces them to put us on a very popular syndicated show.
Well, here's the thing, too, right?
Nothing else about
the
this,
old
too.
saying. The old saying, first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, then you win. This was an attempt to try to get people to laugh at us, and it didn't even really work. Most of the laughter seemed to be pity laughter, right? Or uncomfortable laughter.
Mm-hmm.
And then with the criticisms of it, right? That it was the least well-rated skit for that night. A lot of people were like, well, what the hell what was that? What the fuck was that? They weren't getting laughs, right? So and some of them have been fighting us already, right? But they're trying to get the feminists have been fighting us, right? But now they're trying to get the general public to laugh at us, and the general public is just not getting the joke.
And
there's a reason for that.
Right. A lot of that has to do with
very serious reason for that. Here they have this sketch, right, and they create an entirely false portrayal in order to have something to say. Now, the reason that they had to come up with an entirely false portrayal is because they cannot counter what the movement actually is. They can't counter what the movement is about. They don't have any valid arguments. They can't counter the idea that if we want equality, we have to treat men and women equally. And they can't counter the idea that men are human, with human experiences and human rights. So they had to come up with something ridiculous and stupid because they really didn't have anything else.
I don't know who the writer was, but I pity that guy when he goes into the office on Monday.
I just feel sorry for him for putting out now his or her name is attached to that work, right? And it's not even a matter of that they're going to get all kinds of angry emails or whatever. It's that they did something genuinely incoherent and unfunny, and they're going to have to live with that. As that's going to be the low light of their career. Mm-hmm. Was putting together a sketch that just completely left people scratching their heads, going, what?
It was like watching a train wreck to me.
It was like watching Eraserhead to me.
or Cannibal Holocaust, right?
No. Cannibal Holocaust probably had some sort of plot line and made some sort of sense. I mean, it's right there in the title, Cannibal Holocaust.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know. That I'm actually like I was like I said I was kind of leery of watching it because like I really hate reading feminist articles that sort of assume they know what we're about, and because they get it sort of 1/10 right, but then completely the rest of the way wrong, right? And they twist it all around, and they twist the truth, right? But this isn't. There was no truth in it, none.
It was anti-truth.
None at all.
It was like a black hole of truth. It sucked truth out of the rest of the world. Now there is no truth. We're living in a limbo without truth.
Yeah.
I do want to remind a lot of the MRAs out there who are probably tearing their hair out, gnashing their teeth after watching this skit, that this is probably one of the best things that's ever happened to the MRM.
I know.
No, they should be writing thank you letters.
Yeah.
Absolutely, because now we've got the general public going, well, what the hell is this about? And you're not going to win a battle unless you polarize the friggin' battlefield.
Well,
yeah.
Or even just having awareness of the fact that we exist is really important. And actually, even demonizing us is excellent because people will say, oh my God, these people are the spawn of Satan. We have to go look at the train wreck. It's like, it's the way people think, right? The worse we look, the more they have to see us, the more they have to find us. And then they find out we are not actually as bad as portrayed. And in fact, like what we are is so opposite. What we are is so opposite how we've been portrayed in the SNL sketch. For example, although I'm a man, I'm a very attractive woman for a man, So not, as men go, I make a very attractive woman, I think. Maybe I'm wrong. Complete silence. All right. But anyway.
No, it's true. It's true. And and the whole thing with like they're going to be looking to see. People are going to be Googling and trying to see whether there were any Planned Parenthoods shut down by men's rights activists.
And they're going to find that not a one was.
Yeah, I mean and they're going to find a few men's rights activists who are anti-abortion, right?
Yeah, but that's not like it's like you can also find feminists who are anti-abortion. It's not a platform part of the platform,
Through it.
Yeah, but what I think they're doing is they're taking men like one part of the men's rights platform is reproductive choices for men. Reproductive choices for men shouldn't be summed up, well, you should have kept it in your pants, right? That's
exactly.
Totally. And it's even worse. I mean, like, at the very least, could we get it so that if a woman rapes a man, he doesn't have to pay for the resultant child? Wouldn't that be, like, at least reasonable, I mean, feminists talk about...
If it's raped, she might not be a good person to have custody of that child.
Imagine that.
Yeah, that's another thing.
Yeah.
But we're heading into the last 2 minutes, so let's wrap this up. And I just wanted to point out that what's really astonishing about this Saturday Night Live sketch is that they're essentially using women's sexual power to enforce what feminists call the masculine hegemony. Because what did those women want? They want macho men who have no real vulnerabilities, no real concerns about their own safety or well-being, because they're macho, and macho men don't do that. They don't talk about how they lost their kids or how some woman actually took advantage of them and it actually bothered them, or how their wife beats them and they want actual services. Macho men don't do that. Macho men are stoic and they have no feelings, and then punching them is like punching a brick wall. It doesn't feel anything, right? And that's what these women want. That's what these women want. They want the traditional gender roles. And if anything, this is certainly, if this was written by a feminist, it's right there. That's feminism in a nutshell. Women get to pick and choose from whatever gender role they want, and men just get one: stoic, quiet, shut up about your problems, man up.
And you better be able to be really good in the sack. Don't be that virgin.
Yeah, apparently.
Don't be that virgin.
Don't be that virgin. Don't be skinny. Don't be short. be muscular, be handsome, but you know, if you would prefer to have a sexual partner that you're attracted to isn't 200 pounds, actually works out, and is attractive, then you're a horrible cat.
Yeah, shallow.
Shallow, but you know, less shallow than women are allowed to be. Anyway, this has been a lot of fun, but all fun things should end, and they should end. I don't know. I'm just blabbering now, so I'm gonna hang this up. Good night.
All right.
Or
Good
day.
Good night.
Whatever. Don't forget to subscribe to the Honey Badger YouTube channel. You can find it at youtube.com/users/honeybadgerradio.